This is Glenn Hughes, the voice of rock.
Hey everybody, this is Pat Torpy from Mr. Big.
And you're listening to Music Mania.
Good evening! Welcome to our show!
I want you to want me. The Dream Police. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Your mama's alright, your daddy's alright, but just seem a little bit weak.
Scream for me, Brazil! Scream for me, Brazil!
So let's rock and roll all night, the body and drink.
In the words of AC/DC, we roll tonight to the guitar bite. And for those about to rock, I salute you.
You are now listening to the Music Mania podcast, brought to you by CD Warehouse in Gladstone, the #1 hard rock podcast in the Midwest, featuring hard-hitting interviews with rock's living legends. And now, here's your host, Clint Schweitzer.
We are officially saying goodbye to the month of February right here on the Music Mania podcast. We are launching on into March and into the spring and summer months, which is, of course, the best time of the year for us, definitely for me, because, you start seeing those concert announcements. You're on the road, you're outside with your friends, you're getting ready to go out and make some summer plans, plan that summer trip with your family. You know what? The summer, that's when anything's possible, and when it gets into the spring, man, I really start to come alive and look out there at all the things that I've got coming up. So many wonderful things. Of course, February was a busy month in and of itself. Went down to Vegas for the Aerosmith residency. It was actually the show right before Joey Kramer came back. Had a tremendous time checking that out. Whenever there's a Vegas residency, to me, every time that I go to one, I always feel like it's a big event. No matter where it is, no matter what it's been. I've seen Billy Idol out there. Going to be checking out the Scorpions coming up this summer, and Aerosmith. It was at the Park MGM Theater, and it just had this big event feel to it. The stage, the way that it was constructed, everything about it. And Aerosmith definitely brought the goods, and I thought that it was a tremendous show, despite Joey Kramer not being behind the kit. He was back, I think, for the next show. There's been some controversy with that. I believe he sued the band for him not being allowed to rehearse and play with the band. He had suffered an injury, I know, but that's something that helped make February a very memorable month for me. And moving on into March, we've got Kiss coming up at the BOK Center in Tulsa for the last time. I don't know, I can't promise it, but this, at least as of now, is my last scheduled Kiss show here on this End of the Road tour. Excited for that. So much coming up. We have a lot of interviews. We have a lot of shows, still shows being announced, still putting together my itinerary for the summer. Always love hearing from you guys. Always appreciate the feedback. Of course, you know where to find us on social media. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are the best places. If you want to send me an email, musicmaniapodcast@gmail.com. We are now being distributed by Ignitro Entertainment. It is an entertainment website that really captures the heart of what we're about here at the Music Mania Podcast. And of course, our website, musicmaniapodcast.com, will of course remain in its form that it's in right now. But Ignitro Entertainment will be where you can find all of our content will be there as well, and it's just being wonderful to partner with them. My partner Noah Groniger and I, who we work together on a sports media website called GASN Sports, and we wanted to sort of make an entertainment website that could house all of our content, because we do a lot of different podcasts. We do Say By Nostalgia, which is going back and reviewing movies and television shows and interviewing actors from movies like The Karate Kid, shows like Saved by the Bell. And with the Music Mania Podcast, we kind of wanted to put everything together under one banner. So ignitroentertainment.com, you can check it out. We're just starting to get things rolling with that. So head on over to Ignitro Entertainment, and you could see, if you're a fan of, things like 80s toys, and video games and candy and really anything nostalgic or that's a throwback to 80s and 90s. We got your back there at Ignitro Entertainment. Music Mania is going to be kind of a subsidiary of that. So just a few minor changes, but our website, musicmaniapodcast.com, will remain. Of course, the podcast remains just how you've always listened to it. Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Always appreciate you subscribing and leaving us a star review. We always appreciate that. But today, huge guest coming up, because guitar virtuoso Richie Kotzen is going to be joining us to talk about his new album, which is 50 for 50. Tell you what, when a person turns 50, they usually spend that entire year celebrating in as large of a way as possible to make it their biggest and most memorable birthday yet. But singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist Richie Kotzen is taking that concept literally as he gears up for the release of his most ambitious album to date, and he wants to share this big birthday present to himself and with his fans around the world. So 50 for 50 is his 22nd studio album. It came out Monday, February 3rd, so it's been out for a couple weeks now. The self-produced 3-disc collection is just what the title implies, a collection of 50 previously unreleased compositions that have been produced, performed, and written by Richie Kotzen in honor of his birthday. It's the follow-up to his critically acclaimed Salting Earth album, which was released April 14th, 2017. So people know Richie Kotzen also as the guitarist for the Winery Dogs, with Billy Sheehan and Mike Portnoy. What an absolutely tremendous band they've been. Of course, Richie was in Poison for a brief amount of time, actually worked on the Native Tongue album, was a key songwriter and contributor to that album, so we're going to ask him about that, his time in Poison, the Winery Dogs, what's up with them, what can we expect coming up with the Winery Dogs, and this tour he's going on in support of 50 for 50. He's going to be doing a lot of dates starting this summer, so head over to his website, richiekotzen.com. You can get all the information on that. This is an interview I've wanted to do for a long time. Always respected Richie Kotzen and really loved that Native Tongue album from Poison. That's really kind of how I first became aware, of him and his work. So it was songs like Stand and Until You Suffer Some, Fire and Ice from Poison's Native Tongue album. He was co-wrote those songs, and so he brought a lot to the band. Of course, it didn't work out. There were some problems, and he doesn't feel a lot of connection, I don't think, to his time in Poison. We're going to ask him about that anyway, and kind of see where what he recollects as far as working with Bret Michaels and the guys on that Native Tongue album. But Richie's been up to so much, and we can't congratulate him enough on this 50 for 50 album. So exciting stuff coming up. That interview is going to be coming up right here after we tell you about our sponsor, CD Warehouse in Gladstone, Missouri. Guys, for over 22 years, they've been a staple of the Northland, but that party's coming to an end this May, so get while the getting's good. Go see owner Randy Ringer at CD Warehouse in Gladstone to see what kind of deals you can get on the merchandise they are blowing out. Guys, the party couldn't last forever. Music Mania is sending you there, and if they don't give you a discount, it's on us. So, CD Warehouse, Gladstone, Missouri. Go see owner Randy Ringer before they close the doors for good this May. But we thank them again for sponsoring this podcast and being such a big part of so many people's lives in North Kansas City. Richie, my man, it's Clint Schweitzer from Music Mania. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing great. I'll tell you what, happy late birthday. I know you turned 50 February 3rd. I mean, a little bit going on in your life right now. Most people, release 50 songs, 3-disc sets on their 50th birthday. You're just following suit, right? I mean, that's kind of a common thing, I guess.
I'm following the trend, right?
Well, take us back to that.
Keep up, man. I'm trying to keep up.
Trying to keep up, exactly. And then this is your 22nd solo album. I mean, you talk about just the amount of work that you've been able to do over the course of your career. Why 50 for 50? Why kind of take us back to the genesis of this idea?
Well, you only turn 50 once, right? No, in all seriousness, I had prepared what would have been a normal release for 2020. And when I say normal, maybe 12, 13 songs that I really liked. And I was planning on coming off the road, maybe doing some final mixes, sending it off to mastering, and that would have been my album. And then while I was on the road, you've got a lot of free time, and we were going around Europe playing all the festivals. I started going through some archives of ideas, and I realized that I had a lot of material that I just never finished. And I said to my tour manager, man, I got this crazy idea in my head. What if I went home and finished this material? And what if I ended up with 50 songs by the time I'm done? And then when I turned 50, just put out a record called 50 for 50. I mean, it's really, I really wanted to finish this music. I didn't want this to be sitting on my hard drive for the rest of, eternity, or getting lost or who knows what. We just survived the Woolsey fire. So, everything could have went up in flames, literally. So I went home, and I started going through these ideas and tweaking on them. And before you know it, I started finishing some of these songs. And then in the process, I started writing brand new songs. So one night I would finish the song Mountains. I'd go back upstairs. I think I'm done. I pick up the guitar to unwind, strum the acoustic, and bang, Innocuous. I write that. So this started happening. So before I knew it, it was like summer wasn't even over, and I had 38 songs recorded. So at that point, I thought, well, we're in October. My birthday's not till February. I know I'm going to get to 50.
Yeah.
So I did a little teaser on Instagram, teasing people about it. And then, so at that point, I was pot committed, and I went through it. And reality is, I could have put out more than 50 songs, but we still got a Winery Dog record to make, and who knows, I might want to make an EP. I'll call the EP follow-up 10 for 50.
I love it. Well, it's a great concept, and it's a great album. You can go to your website right now to pick it up. It came out February 3rd, like we said, and on February 3rd, you also released the single in the video for Devil's Hand. I think it's an amazing song, but it's like one that I would not have thought of a song like that, kind of being the first single to come out of this. Why that song, and kind of take us through that process and how important the video is. I think the video extremely well shot, and the visuals go right along with the music. It's so perfectly. Kind of take us through Devil's Hand and why that one is the first single.
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Reality is the hardest thing for me to do was figure out what am I going to lead a 50-song album with. And,
Right.
In the world of your typical rock and roll mentality, they always tell you, you got to lead with a stunner, a hard rock, heavy hitting, heavy song, aggressive. And the reality is, I wanted to lead with a song that was strong as a composition. I'm not worried about it being loud or fast. I wanted it to be engaging, and I wanted it to cover a scope of what it is that I'm about, stylistically. And so that song, being a 7-minute song, that song is a very interesting song because it kind of masquerades as a ballad and then turns into, one of the crazier guitar solos on the record. I chose that song for a lot of reasons. Another reason I chose the song for was nowadays we don't talk about radio and first singles for radio, at least in my world.
Yep.
And so what we talk about is a first single and a visual. And when I went through everything, I listened to that song and I had the visual in my head. And I had this visual of a down-and-out character that lost everything. The lyric is, it was all a dream. I was strong and lean. I lost all my inspiration to the devil's hand. I was all for her. She was all for me. I lost all her adoration to another man. So basically, this character is down and out. He lost everything by making terrible decisions and mistakes. So you see this character living in his van, down and out. All he has is a duffel bag and a guitar. And he's walking around, kind of trudging around, thinking about what he's going to do. And there's flashbacks of him at a happier time, And so that was the key part of it. And then eventually this character goes into the lavatory, public bathroom, and transforms and puts on an old set of clothes, which is the only thing that he took with him was a nice set of clothes, just to kind of hold on to some bit of his past. And he comes out of the bathroom transformed, finds himself entering a jazz club, sits in with the band, plays a solo, gets a standing ovation, and then at the very end wakes up back in the van, so you don't know if it was in his imagination or if it really happened or not. And so that was kind of the thing, and I had the visual, it fit, and I thought this is just the perfect way for me to introduce the album. The plan would be to make some more videos down the road. I haven't decided what should follow that, but that's the answer to why I chose that song.
Well, it is tremendous musically, and it's a multi-layered, I think, and certainly, like you said, the video definitely represents that. You just came off, I believe, the Monsters of Rock cruise just a week or two ago. Were you able to unveil, I assume, some of these songs when you were on the cruise? Were you able to play some of these live?
Yes, I did. We played, we only played one of them. We played Devil's Hand.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. That solo at the end, I can just picture as the tour evolves, that'll be different every night. You evolve every night in a different way. And, by the way that's designed, it gives my bass player, Dylan, it gives him a chance to really stretch out as well, because it starts with a bass solo that morphs into a guitar solo.
Yeah, absolutely. And starting in June, you're going to be out on tour. You have several dates planned, not only in the United States, but in the Netherlands and Germany and overseas. How excited are you to be able to kind of unveil these songs on a larger scale on this tour? And I don't know, maybe do an Iron Maiden from their Matter of Life and Death tour and just play the whole thing front to back. I mean, only 50 songs, right? I mean, that'd be no problem.
That's right. The only problem is to do 50 songs. We're going to play all the songs double time.
Right.
So if we speed it up, we're going to be able to make it happen.
That'll be awesome, though. I mean, to be able to, I'm assuming, you have so much. I mean, your career encapsulates so many things. But to be able to get these out there, and not only Devil's Hand, a song that people know, but maybe songs that are deeper on the album, songs that they haven't heard yet. I mean, how hard is it going to be to kind of put together a set list for this tour, which starts June 19th in Poughkeepsie, New York?
Well, actually, I think we start on the 18th in New Hampshire. Somehow, I got to get my dates right on my website. But I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to do a lot of stuff that people expect me to do from the past, because I know when I go see my favorite band, I want to hear those songs that resonate from my past and childhood. But at the same time, picking the songs for the new tour is going to be interesting because, there's so many. I tend to go for things that I know are going to translate well in a power trio format because that's how I tour. So I would say, obviously, Devil's Hand, we've played it. Stick the Knife will be a fun one to play just because the guitar is so crazy. Dogs is a song that I'm looking forward to playing. And, I don't think we need to play the whole record, obviously, but if we do 4 or 5, I think people will be happy with that. And then as the tour evolves, we can always learn more and switch them around.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see Ed on the road and see what's going to become of that. And, of course, so many people, and, you're a part of the Winery Dogs, a band that is so revered by so many people.
Winery Dogs.
Right. I mean, 3 of the best players, just being honest, 3 of the best players at your respective instruments in rock with Billy Sheehan, Mike Portnoy. You guys are insane. 3 albums under your belt now. It's been since 2017, since Dog Years came out. Where are we at with Winery Dogs? And, what any news for us on that front?
Well, absolutely. We did a tour last year. We spent a month together in North America, which was a lot of fun, very exciting. And so the talk on the tour was to get together a few times this year and write some music. And once we feel like we've got some really special things happening, put a schedule together to release something very soon. So, obviously this year, for me, it's all about the new record that I've just done. They're out with their band Apollo, but, we know that that there's going to be something in the foreseeable future for the Dogs, absolutely.
Well, Richie, I've noticed that you have joined Cameo recently, so head over to Cameo and get one from Richie Kotzen. This is cool. But my question is, have you had what's the craziest request you've had to say yet, or is it just all a bunch of happy birthdays so far?
No, there's been a lot of great ones, and this Cameo thing is really a nice way to focus communication to one person on a specific issue, and they send me every now and then response videos that people have, and I'm surprised at how excited, surprised, happy people are to get a message, and it's a nice thing for me to be able to do. It takes time, to formulate what you want to say and what have you, but it's been a really cool thing to, just another way of communicating with the fans. For the artists, of course, it's another revenue stream, which, as we all know, it's kind of crazy. I have the back end to my Spotify. I can see how many spins I had, and I'm up at about 600,000 on the new record. It's been out barely 2 weeks, and so you think, oh man, I got over 500,000 spins. I'm rich, but it doesn't work that way anymore, sadly. But at the same time, there's other ways to skin a cat, so to speak. What a horrible expression! I can't believe I just said that. What a terrible expression.
No, that's one of my favorite
anyway,
idioms.
my point of the matter is, yes, I'm doing Cameo. It's been going well.
Well, I'm glad to see it. You talk about other revenue streams, and I'm not sure if you were doing this on this tour, but, a lot of people are doing meet and greets on tour. Is that something that you thought about implementing at all?
I do them, and I do them a little differently. I think I like the idea of pay for something that you get some value. So what I've been doing is I offer an early entry for sound check, and so they pay a fee. They get a commemorative laminate, a signed autographed picture. If we have T-shirts, we'll throw a T-shirt in. If there's a new CD, we can throw that into the package. But the big kicker is they get to watch sound check, which most bands don't want anyone near the venue when you're sound checking. I, on the other hand, have absolutely nothing to hide. So they come in for sound check, and then after sound check, I come off the stage, I socialize and say hello and take photographs, and everybody seems to be happy. There was one person one time that complained in Argentina, I'm not sure why, but they didn't like it that I was telling the guy that I needed my voice louder in my monitor. They thought that I was being too demanding. But, we've had hundreds of people show up for these things, so I think the odds are good. It's going well.
Well, I'm sorry they had to experience that. I've seen artists assault sound people on the side of the stage and stuff, so at least nothing like that was going on. So I think that experience can be spared.
I'm a pretty mellow guy. I don't get too wild unless something's really fucked up.
Well, Everett, you can go to Richie Kotzen, your website, richiekotzen.com right now to pick up the album, to check out the tour dates, and you can get tickets and you can get the meet and greets right there. Richie, I have to ask you this because we get so much. People to this day, it's crazy when it comes to your time in Poison. People always talk about Native Tongue, and it's like an album that seems to be one that has just grown in popularity over the years. People always demand Poison play some of the songs you co-wrote on tour, like Stand. What's interesting to me about it, a lot of what I've read about your time in Poison, is that you absolutely loved the process. You had a lot of creative freedom, but maybe what was a struggle for you was just going back and playing the material that you had no connection to. Can you just kind of take us through that a little bit?
I would love to give you some insight, but the fact of the matter is that it's been 27 years, and I think for me to really be honest and talk about that clearly, I don't think I can. It's just such another lifetime. I'm 50 years old. I was 21 when I joined the band, and I was 23 when I left the band. So it really, I wouldn't know what much to say about it other than if you like the record, go listen to it. I know that it was a very strong record, and I really stand behind the music that we did back then.
Well, it's absolutely meaningful and still holds up, of course. I also got to ask you about Mr. Big because Pat Torpy, unfortunately, the drummer for Mr. Big, passed away just a couple years ago. I was able to interview Pat while they were on that tour. Pat was still touring with the band, which was incredible. Says a lot about those guys. You replaced Paul Gilbert in the band briefly there. Can you just talk about maybe what Pat was like touring with him? I don't know that I've ever met a sweeter individual. Just kind of talk about
man,
him.
He's a sweet guy. Yeah. Pat actually, after Mr. Big, I did 2 studio records with the band, and then they broke up again, and so everybody went their separate ways. But Pat and I remained friends. He came on board and did a couple solo tours with me. We went to Italy together. We went to Japan together on my solo stuff. So, he became a close friend. It's a tragedy, what happened there. And, and it's just, I guess that's what happens as we get older. I start seeing a lot of people pass. I lost my best friend to cancer last year. She was struggling for 3-4 years. I thought she was going to beat it. And that's, I could go down the list right now of people close to me that passed within the last 3 years, and it's just terrible. And Pat, obviously, is someone that I love dearly, and we have so much great history together. But, there's nothing to really say, man. It's just the course of life. I think the most important thing is to, be with the people you love, enjoy your time with them. You just don't know what is happening next. So that's about all I can say on it.
Very, very well said, Richie. I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming on with us. Congratulations on the album, which is called 50 for 50. Happy late birthday again. February birthdays, we got to stick together. Mine's the 11th. I'm 35, so I still got 15 years to work on my 50 for 50. It's a life goal. This is so ambitious, man. I'm so proud of what you've done. I've always been a fan of your work, one of the great guitar virtuosos in rock. Thank you so much for being on with us, man. We will catch you somewhere out on one of these dates. We're going to come see you for sure. Out on the road, man. Can't wait to see it.
I would love it. All right, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. With Richie Kotzen talking about his 50 for 50 album. He just came off the Monsters of Rock cruise. He's getting ready to go on tour with his band this summer. So much going on for him. What an ambitious idea to release 50 songs for your 50th birthday. My goodness. I mean, most artists are hard-pressed to put 11 songs on an EP these days. So really for that he's always been so prolific. I mean, 22 solo albums, and he's so heralded as a virtuoso around the world. And this album is tremendous. So go to richiekotzen.com. You can see how to get it. You can, of course, go to platforms like Amazon and Spotify. You can get the album that way, iTunes. However you choose to take in your music, it is available. So Richie Kotzen, just search 50 for 50. Cannot thank him enough. We have so much coming up. Next week, Kevin Martin, the singer from Candlebox, will be joining us to talk about their new album, the tour they're coming on this spring. Candlebox has always been a band that has stood out to me. I remember seeing a Candlebox poster in my best friend's room whenever I was a kid. I had to find out who they were, and they just had some of those songs that have been a staple of rock radio from that era. And we're going to talk to Kevin Martin about the journey that Candlebox has gone on over these years, almost 30 years now. So that's coming up. So much more happening. Of course, you can go to ignitroentertainment.com to get all the information, and also musicmaniapodcast.com, where our podcast will still be living, but also updated at ignitroentertainment.com. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back next week with Kevin Martin from Candlebox.